The mountain we approach today is Mount Moriah, not as it appears today, but as it would have looked about almost 4,000 years ago, in the days of Abraham. Old Abraham, blessed by at last his old age with the son of God's promise, Isaac. The road to Mount Moriah very much involves Isaac and the promise of God, which he represents.
Sarah, go quickly and make ready 3 measures of fine meal for our guests. Knead it and make cakes, while I run to herd and find a calf, tender and good, to have prepared for them, with curds and milk, to set before them, that they may eat.
Abraham, where is Sarah, your wife?
She is in the tent.
I will surely return to you in the spring, and Sarah, your wife, shall have a son.
And Sarah was listening at the tent door behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age.
After I have grown old, and my husband is old, shall I have pleasure?
Why did Sarah laugh and say, "Shall I indeed bear a child, now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you in the spring, and Sarah will have a son."
And so it was. The Lord visited Sarah as she had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had promised. And Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the time of which God had spoken to him. Abraham called the name of the son who was born to him, who Sarah bore him,
Isaac.
a name that means laughter.
God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh over me. Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would suckle children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age.
And there was laughter in the tent of Abraham, as there is so frequently when the promises of God are evident in their keeping. The road to Mount Moriah, therefore, looks for now like such a happy way, punctuated with the laughter of the future that appears bright and so secure.
Fear not, Abraham, I am your shield. Your reward shall be very great. Look toward heaven and number the stars, if you are able to number them. So shall your descendants be.
And Abraham believed the Lord, and the Lord reckoned it to him as righteousness. After these things, God tested Abraham.
Abraham,
Here I am.
take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as burnt offering upon one of the mountains of which I shall tell you.
So Abraham rose early in the morning and took his son Isaac, and he cut the wood for the burnt offering and rose and went to the place in which God had told him. On the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place far off.
Mount Moriah.
And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. He took in his hand the fire and the knife, so they both of them together.
My father.
Here I am, my son.
Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?
God will provide himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son.
So they went both of them together to Mount Moriah, to a time of testing. And so we joined them there, old and helpless, possibly like Abraham, aware at last of our mortality, the sober fact that we are dust, and unto dust we shall return. The season of Lent calls us year by year, like Abraham and Isaac, to lay aside our laughter for a while and to come face to face with our mortality, to realize the debt we owe unto our God, the harsh demand which he has every right to claim from us. The sifting of laughter. Mount Moriah is a place from which we weigh and look back like Abraham on blessings undeserved, on laughter granted unexpectedly, and on our doubts and fears and disbelief, and where they might lead. When we come to Mount Moriah, where God leads us for a time of testing, Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac, his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. Then Abraham put forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
Abraham, Abraham.
Here I am.
Do not lay your hand on the lad or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me.
And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was
a ram caught in a thicket by its thorns.
And Abraham took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son.
On the mount of the Lord it shall be provided.
And so, as it is the case with every mountaintop experience, we make ready to leave Mount Moriah, the mount of testing. Other mountains loom before us as we go on our Lenten way. It is too early in the journey to observe that an ancient tradition holds that is in the future time under another rule. Abraham's Mount of Testing would bear another name, Calvary. It is too soon in our journey to observe that there at Calvary, Abraham's faith and ours would find fulfillment.
God will provide himself the lamb for offering, my son.
Or is that truly the mountain toward which we trust? Keep moving even this early in our Lenten pilgrimage. The mountain where we must resort, our lives, as in the life of Abraham, the laughter seems to have been snatched away. When faith is tested almost to the breaking point, and we confront the ashes of our own mortality.
Abraham believed the Lord, and the Lord reckoned it to him as righteousness.
So Abraham returned, it says, and Isaac with him, to the laughter of the living for a while, and to the tears as well. Sarah's death at last in God's good time, and Isaac's marriage to Rebekah, until Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. But death was different now, and so was life for those who carried on. Because of Mount Moriah, among other stops along the way, a mountaintop assurance on the journey for Abraham and Isaac, and for us as well, of the blessing which we celebrate again this Lent by faith.
On the mount of the Lord it shall be provided.
Amen.